Hello to everyone. Hello, Maya. Thank you very much for being here this evening in this very, let's say, nasty weather. We can consider that all of you are the most motivated people to talk about these difficult issues. It's not easy to take the floor after these two movies as a journalist, because I'm a journalist. And just a few words about me. I'm Alexandre Lévy. I'm a French journalist living now full-time in Sofia. I'm covering most of the time the war between the war in Ukraine, the Russian invasion, and sometimes the Bulgarian and, let's say, regional issues. I won't present you Maya. I think her work speaks by itself. She did a great work, a great investigation. She's a journalist from BNT. This is the national TV, the public broadcaster. And we have the pleasure to talk with her, to ask her questions about her movie, and maybe more generally about the situation of the media issue and fake news. Let's say it briefly in Bulgaria, and not only why not. I'm pleased that she is called Maya, because this is the name of the teacher of my son. His best friend is Maya. The bibliotecary of the French school is also called Maya. And he's 5 years old, but I have a good feeling that with Maya's life it's getting better in Bulgaria. Just few words. You, the Bulgarians who are here, of course, know this situation, but for the others, you don't see you didn't see the most pleasant images of Bulgaria and in the movie of Maya, but this is our job. As we say in France, we are not speaking about the trains who are arriving at time, but we are here to present all the issues who doesn't work properly, and what we have seen, I have this impression that Bulgaria, as said Mark Galeotti, appreciate very much about his work on Russia. As he said, I think Bulgaria is a very vulnerable country, mostly because of the big gap between the state and the society. And the people who are following the news now in Bulgaria, there is a terrible criminal case. It's another example of this situation, and this will be maybe my first question about this gap. Why it's so big, firstly, the gap? What can we do to fill it or to reduce it? And is it something particular to Bulgaria? Can you explain it by the recent history of the country, or you have the floor? It's a pleasure to speak with you.
First, thank you for being here. Well, this gap between society and the state is not narrowing, it is actually widening. And in connection with this particular criminal case, I suppose it's not something that happens just by nature. It is by the efforts of our authorities, which have, I don't know if you know the case actually, most of you who are not Bulgarian especially. There were 6 people who were killed in the Petruhan forests, and we don't know why. We don't know if it is a murder or suicide, and there were many theories. And I think there were conscious efforts that the narratives that flow in society now are part of the pre-election propaganda efforts of many political actors, as well as the state itself. which is the biggest problem.
Did you notice the mobilization of this kind of networks that you describe in your movie? On this case precisely, did you notice that they are mobilized as the way they did for migrants or whatever?
Yes, under many discussions in Facebook, which is the main platform where Bulgarians are active, there were many trolls with certain narratives that were plugged in the discussions. Of course, there are people who genuinely believe the many theories that are out there, but I think there are conscious efforts, the society, to be put into some way of thinking, to steer away from the lack of any efforts for actual work on the case by the police. It's evident when you go through the publications.
I also noticed, maybe you did it too, this terrible description of the system friend-enemy, like the military planes. They have this F-16 or whatever. All these have this system, which is a military. You describe the enemy like it was the migrant. Who is now the enemy? If a foreigner asks you in Bulgaria, who is the enemy now?
Now, because we are in a pre-election period, I think...
But we are always in a pre-election period.
Well,
you
yes.
said in your movie it will be actual in 6 months, maybe in 1 year, and it's still actual.
But now it's all against democratic forces because of the big protests which happened in Bulgaria in December. I think the enemy now is the opposition, because the migrant theme is outdated for now, and the fear that maybe things could change too quickly and unexpectedly changed the narratives out there.
I was also shocked. I knew that, but it's always shocking when you see it and when you prove it. How cheap and how easy it's to manipulate the public opinion, and just because of the social network. And I have another question as a foreign journalist, not so foreign, with my kid going here to school and so on, but in Bulgaria I have this impression that everyone is spending his day at Facebook. It's a Facebook nation. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there are other Facebook nations, but Bulgaria is definitely one. And it's maybe one of the factors that it's so easy to manipulate the public opinion. It's not so easy to do it on TV, with newspapers, because, okay, we are journalists, we have immunity about this, we have our filters as my colleague from the AFP, we have our standards, but in Facebook became the mega media, and it's probably one of the reasons of this spreading the propaganda and fake news. Do you share this impression, and how can you explain this attraction to Facebook in Bulgaria?
Well, it's a place where people could write, there could be discussions, they could meet, they could argue with each other.
But that sounds good.
Well, taking into account the algorithm of Facebook itself, it's not so good. Okay. We all know about how the bad news go up, and when people are saying nasty things to each other, and how we all are in the circle of like-minded people because of this algorithm, and we don't actually hear people with other opinions and arguments. There are ecosystems in Facebook of certain political actors which, when needed, often, or I can say every day maybe, plug their narratives and achieve the so-called information operations it's easy.
It's easy, yes.
And with AI, it has become much easier.
I wanted to ask you this question maybe at the beginning, but I just forgot. The destiny of your movie at the BNT TV was a bit. It became a kind of a story here, as I saw. Finally, after, as you said, after months of hesitation, they broadcasted it, but very late. I think 11:30 p.m. Then almost of the people go to sleep. How do you explain the destiny of your movie in your employer actually?
Well, I don't know the exact reasons. Maybe the television thought it was a good time for it because maybe of the disturbing content. It's not my decision, it's the decision of the television.
Okay, but do you ask them why they put it so why they hesitate so long and why they broadcast it so late? Was this something disturbing for them, for your employers? Which is for me as a French taxpayer, for me it's the most logic place to broadcast your movie because it speaks about concrete, real problems of the media system here and how, and they did it. They did it. Okay, they produced it, but at the end it was a kind of strange solution, just to broadcast it like just once and very late. It sounds really strange. Was it a kind of a certain censorship or not very assumed censorship?
Well, it was aired, so it's a success.
Okay. Let's say, okay. What was the main difficulty of investigating those networks, actually, because they are not visible? We live now in a world dramatically changed. You see, one of the proof is that we speak English in the French Institute. That is dramatic change. Absolutely, we said. But there are others changes more dramatic, even more dramatic. And one of them is that as journalists, when I chose this profession 30 years ago, it was for traveling, discovering the world, and now you have just to sit behind your computer, and it's enough to investigate, even to do proper investigation. How did you made it? How did you manage all this?
Mostly behind the computer.
Mostly behind the computer. You see the
Yes.
dramatic changes.
Well, I can't say it was too difficult because these networks, when you have the idea what is happening, if you work methodically, it is all evident for every government institution who wants to see what is happening on Facebook and who is doing it. It's not too difficult, actually. The sad thing is that no one is too interested. It takes time, and I hope the media will be more interested in taking the time to do such research.
It's almost a new branch in our job now, this data journalism of the fact-checking. It's a kind of response to all this, to this picture, all this situation you described so well in the public space. It's a kind of reaction to this reality, which nothing is really true and nothing is really nobody believes in nothing.
That's the purpose.
Yes, and this is something that I hear very often in Bulgaria, and this is another mystery for me. Why people don't believe the news of the BNT or the traditional media, but they believe what they read in Facebook. Is there a reason for that?
Maybe because we have problem with trust in authority since the communist time, and now it just continues. And everything that is alternative seems more legitimate. And maybe in recent years, as in the US, there are constant efforts to undermine the public media and the mass media as a whole. So it becomes easier to make people so vulnerable to other influences.
One of the lady who is working to produce fake news or fake comments, she said she was paid just pennies.
Yes.
How much she was paid for doing this?
One left per one. I don't remember. Maybe one left per sharing a link. For sharing a link.
Okay.
So it's too little actually, but she is a person with a disability, and that's her way to have an income. That's her way of surviving, and this is very sad. She's working in a governmental agency, by the way, lives in a small provincial town, maybe have a small salary. She has gotten that job in the agency recently. The money are scarce, and that's the way she thinks she could survive. In that kind of network, there were many people like her, vulnerable people who were used by this machine.
And it will be probably my last question, but it's a big one. It's the first one that the people are asking me since I live in Bulgaria. It's about the Russian influence. And I always hesitate to answer because it's so vast actually. It covers history, spirituality, religion, politics, energy, gas and petrol, politics, corruption. And the question was raised in your movie. If I ask you the same question, how can you describe or just fix the borders of this influence in Russian influence in Bulgaria?
How could I fix the borders?
Yes, the size actually. Is it so big that we think, is it? Because one of the person you interviewed said that it's not really Russian propaganda. It started like Russian propaganda, but now it's not. But it was kind of minimized. But is it how? What is your feeling about that?
It's this kind of Russian propaganda, which was popular before the war with Ukraine, was succeeded by anti-democratic propaganda, which is again sourced to Russia because it works better. The reason is that when the war started, many people were appalled that this nation could be that so many people were killed by Putin and his rating slumped down. And after that, the end goal changed. Bulgaria out of the European Union and NATO, and that could be achieved with anti-democratic propaganda, again with Russia paying for this in Bulgaria. There were many successes in that respect. For example, the anti-Euro campaign, which happened in the recent years. So people became very hesitant that the euro could be good for them. There were many protests, very big protests. And now we can see it's not actually a big deal, but no one remembers that. Everyone, the common people, have something in mind that euro, maybe something will come up. eventually.
Do you think the Russians were behind this anti-Euro campaign?
Well, the leaders of these anti-Euro protests have gone to Moscow, have pictures on their Facebook pages that were political figures. It's not a secret.
And it's maybe a naive question, but what's the interest of the Russians for the Bulgarians not have the euro? Do they have a specific issue with this? Is it as a kind of strategic goal for them? I cannot really understand why.
Because the euro means full integration with the European Union. That's the reason. So being less democratic and more pro-Russian.
Okay, the Russians, they definitely don't like Europe and European Union. That's another proof, but okay, now I think in the last part of our meeting today, our discussion, Maya will present you her work with artificial intelligence propaganda. As we saw, it became even more easy and more cheap to manipulate people's mind thanks to this, at the beginning, wonderful tool, which is artificial intelligence. And I'll give you the floor for that.
Thank you. So first, the definition of AI political propaganda as we understand it now. So AI political propaganda is the use of artificial intelligence technologies to create, amplify, target, and automate political messages designed to influence public opinion, attitudes, or behavior. In the context of election, generative AI disinformation can discourage voters from voting, mislead them about candidates, events, and information, undermine public trust. The production of political propaganda is already too easy. Everything can be manipulated. Political groups have built their own ecosystems for creating such videos and photo content, memes, and comments. They rely on emotions, prejudices are deliberately created. The main goal is control over the public narrative. People that can no longer distinguish between truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. It's not. So, just a taste of what it looks like, not facts but emotions. The goal to enhance some perceptions, to reach less ideological and less politically active audiences. The aim is no longer simply to misinform, it is to erode the very conditions under which truth is recognized. So the anti-EU AI propaganda we were talking about, this is an image from the so-called resistance, an attempt at ridiculing the anti-Euro campaign. And this is the poll exit, a Russian campaign which has the same goals as here in Bulgaria, the so-called poll exit. These girls are actually generated with an artificial intelligence. They are not real, and they were trying to make people in Poland leave the European Union. As a result, the Polish government has asked the European Union to take actions against TikTok, which has allowed this campaign to go on. This is the message from the government. These are the images which became popular at the very beginning when the euro was introduced here in Bulgaria. And the problem was that the media actually, not only some alternative media sites, but big media companies published these photos as real, which was quite absurd. Without telling people these are AI generated because they believe they were real. Just an example of how prejudices are instilled, the bad Europe versus the innocent Bulgarian beauty. And of course, evil Ursula, who is all for dictatorship. These images were used in numerous publications, not in official media, but many times on Facebook, and people get the message quite easily because they rely on emotions. This is an example of a pro-Russian site and page in Bulgarian. Here we have a campaign against the new American aircraft that took the place of the outdated Russian ones here in Bulgaria. It was an attempt to make people believe that they're not too good for them, and we should go back. The same source. This is an AI-generated image of our glorious communist past, the industrial garden of Eden, when Bulgaria has an industry, strategy, and state. And probably people who wanted to believe, believed, and were very nostalgic. Here we have dear Miss Mitrofanova, the Russian ambassador, walking the streets in Sofia, being greeted by AI-generated people. Many people probably believed, though there were a person with one leg over there, too many hands, but no one looks closely. She is quite happy, and this is not the first time she is trying to show how people love her here in Bulgaria. This is the site of which was publishing on Facebook that kind of news. These are the journalists behind it, AI-generated faces and false identities. The authority could check who is the owner, but it is on air, it is working that site for many years now and nothing happens. This is an article from the website, an image of a desperate Asen Vasilev. It is AI-generated. The article tells the story of his school years, telling us he was a bad student, and his third-grade teacher testifies about it. And it was shared many times on Facebook, and that picture looks quite real, actually. So how ethical is it for politicians themselves to use officially AI-generated images and videos? It actually becomes very interesting when they try to do so on their official pages. How it began, Donald Trump, of course, some scandalous images from on his official pages. It's beyond bad taste. You just couldn't believe this could happen a couple of years ago, but here we are. And where are we going? I don't know if you know these pictures. The lady was arrested at a protest against ICE. The White House official account published this photo of her. First it published the picture on the left, which is in the middle actually. And then after a couple of minutes, it changed the picture to this one. It is AI generated. Why? To represent her as an aggressive person who deserves what it is happening to her. to portray her as someone who doesn't deserve our sympathy, and it's inhumane in some way. That's a line our Bulgarian politicians haven't crossed yet. It should be illegal, I think, that kind of manipulation of the public opinion from an official page. What is happening in Bulgaria? For now, they're sharing images and videos representing them as superheroes and attacks on their opponents. This is Velice and the superhero Evelyn Mikhailov. He has many video clips of him arresting people and behaving like Superman. So, other examples. Politics is becoming actually a reality show, and this erodes public trust for sure. These are examples of different political parties here in Bulgaria using AI without stating it is AI, which is maybe the problem for now. That's how it is done unofficially, using AI to promote certain narratives. There are the meme pages of the enthusiasts, people who have certain beliefs and publish funny memes without affiliations with political actors. And there are the marketing companies and well-paid professionals. The quality of the videos suggests money are involved, and lots of efforts. Actually, what they're doing are influence operations. The focus is on active political topics, and the disturbing part, they promote false facts, disinformation. These are not just funny memes, this is disinformation, which is going to change public opinion on certain topics. What are the authorities doing? They are going after the enthusiasts like Kupeikin and Kaputin. If you know what's happening from yesterday, one of our ministers is trying to find the IP address of one of these meme pages, which is a one-man show, so to say. It's a person who is just sharing other people's memes. But evidently, the agenda is not liked by the authorities. And it's not a professional ecosystem, it's just one page. So, this is the representation of the Petruhan case, some of it. It politicizes the murders with no evidence. There was even a video with satanic references about an opposition party, and it disappeared soon after because it was too gross. I hope it has disappeared because I couldn't find it now. These are the hands of a boy that was involved in the case. They're generated by AI. It was nothing like that in the real case, but it plays on emotions. And the text above that picture is condemning NGOs, which is another very strong desire of many political formations in Bulgaria, that there will be no non-governmental organizations. And this is how the same meme page, which is part of this ecosystem, represents the party candidate for prime minister, which is right for them. Nothing like what is happening to the other parties, which shows maybe who pays. Another part of how it works. Here we have an article in the upper left corner about machine voting, which was a topic last month, and it is now. So there are efforts that it should be abolished. It's a conversation between two politicians with opposing views. Comments are published underneath, and they strike with an ardent support for one of the political parties' view. And here we have the people behind these comments, which are predominant under that publication. Mr. Lubomir Atanasov is a gardener from Kyustendil. Unfortunately, he has only 3 friends. Too much time in the garden, probably. But he is working hard on Facebook, sharing his views. Here we have a list of other people: a craftsman, a farmer, a tender soul with astonishing photographic talents, and all of them are commenting about machine voting with one view, and unfortunately they all have a lack of friends. There is also a nail technician. These are not real people, these are AI bots trying to sway public opinion. The pictures doesn't look quite suitable for these profiles, but they look beautiful. So maybe people can believe them. Political swapaganda, I don't know if you know the term. It's swap plus, which is trash actually, plus propaganda, which is used for political and economic purposes. It is very popular in Europe, probably in the US, YouTube mainly. But we have also a case in Bulgaria, one for now, and fortunately, YouTube recently has deleted these channels, but I suppose someone will reopen them soon. This is an investigation from 2024. An international network of sites and related Facebook pages has gathered tens of thousands of followers in several European countries, including Bulgaria, in just a few weeks. It seems people from an Armenian marketing company are behind them. The content is emotionally charged, of the clickbait type, sentimental and dramatic stories that target certain audiences. Swapaganda, which was not AI at the time, 2024. It was not very cheap to use AI, but now it is. Then AI became easy and cost-effective, and the cake images, which were very predominant in that kind of publications, gradually were displaced with other images. Can we see it here? It shows how it is changing. On the second row, we have one political publication. There were none before that, just public gathering. And when there were enough people to receive that kind of content, the content has changed. This is the YouTube channel with political swapaganda. It was connected to that kind of network of Facebook pages and websites. It has the same type of content for many other languages, but with the country's main politicians involved. It took the stories from pseudo-media sites like the one we mentioned earlier, so there is some type of connection between these actors, which are not Bulgarian probably, who know where to look for content, which is definitely pro-Russian. So Armenia, I don't know if there is any more close connections, but I suppose there might be. It is just another model for disinformation amplification, another type of channel which is added to the already known, like TikTok, Facebook, web pages, and so on. YouTube is definitely into the game now, and it makes money to the people who make this. That's one of their main motives, and they sell that kind of product to whoever wants. Evidently, political actors in Bulgaria and other East European countries. These are thumbnails of the videos on this channel, synthetic people telling the stories, and all of them are avatars. These are only 2. One of them is actually used in one of our televisions television operators, they don't know that the same person is used in that kind of operations. So the same girl, which is telling not disinformation here, is also telling the news on some TV channel in Bulgaria. Cultural AI propaganda. This form of influence is difficult to regulate, easy to dismiss, and highly effective because it operates below the threshold of political awareness. It targets audiences who do not perceive themselves as political actors. By the time explicit narratives appear, the emotional groundwork has already been laid. It feels less foreign because it already feels familiar. This is another example of AI aesthetics in Russia's influence operations. There are many Facebook pages with admins in Cambodia and Malaysia, for example, that publish AI images of Russian might and glory. In that way, they normalize unreality and reintroduce cultural symbols without context. Even AI Messi, we have here, who is approving of Russian culture, evidently. It was after, these are pictures from last year, I think. The content is designed and distributed to travel across borders, languages, and political contexts, using beauty and mood to bypass cultural and ideological barriers. This is another website, Facebook page with Super Putin, women and guns, reintroducing that kind of image which evidently Putin wants him to be remembered with. And people have liked these images. These are Russian women staringly, invitingly come to Russia. This is Indonesia admins posting that kind of Putin content. And the latest, beautiful AI women singing Russian songs. These are videos beneath, but I don't know how can we put it here. They were also active in Bulgaria. I have seen that kind of content in Bulgarian Instagram pages. So many efforts just to make Russian culture plausible to us, and thinking these people cannot do anything bad when they're so beautiful. That's the end. Thank you.
So now it is time for exchange with the audience. If someone has a question, I can bring the mic.
Thank you, and congratulations, Maya. Let me please just praise you for disclosing the phenomena of the disinformation industry here in Bulgaria through your documentary. It has been an issue which has been probably during a long time a little bit underestimated. And so through your documentary now it's perfectly clear. I would have two questions. The first one is related to the first Arte documentary that we have watched, which is showing that this boat farm in Vietnam is business approach based. Actually, we see that actually they are ready to work for anybody to spread any kind of fake communication campaign, as long as there is somebody who is ready to pay for it. And so they are not politically engaged. I've been told that here in Plovdiv, by the time of the election campaign in Romania, there was a kind of similar bot farms which contributed to spread through a fake TikTok account, manipulated information to reach manipulated the result on the campaign. So I would like to know if in Bulgaria you think that we have the same kind of both forms, meaning that they are not politically engaged, and if they are ready to work for anybody, or do you think that most of them are, let's say, like-minded with, let's say, Eurosceptic network? That's the first question. The second question is related to what the expert in your documentary said, Nicola, I forgot his family name, yes. He said that obviously, this kind of massive disinformation campaign, they can't be led only by ordinary person. They have to be led by kind of company. And he mentioned at the moment that probably they are led by communication agencies. So does it mean that we are in a situation where maybe legal communication agencies are spreading fake news? Do we have a situation where we have real legal communication agencies which are doing official business, working for advertising for any company, and they have also a shadow business working for this kind of disinformation network?
I believe there are such marketing agencies which promote this kind of services to certain political parties. I believe that maybe a couple of years ago, some of them were unshadowed, so to say. There was an article in Capital with certain names being mentioned and an investigation. I won't mention them now because I don't want them to sue me. But such business exists in Bulgaria, and I think it is not just one marketing company. There are many more. Who uses them, I don't know. It is unofficial. I don't think in their spreadsheets you can see using iBots for that person. But it's how it happens. These phone farms we have seen from Vietnam, maybe not in Bulgaria, because it is much easier to undercover such operations. It requires energy sources and so on. So we are a small country. It could not be disguised so easily. If it is happening, we don't know yet. But it is much cheaper using the force of Vietnam or such country, which is away, and you can deny any involvement.
Thank you so much for all this presentation and very interesting documentary, and also about artificial intelligence and how it works. My question will be about how, sort of to compare various situations, because what you described concerning Bulgaria, I think it could work also in other European countries and also in France. But I know that it's not very easy to answer or to measure, I would say, more than. Do you think that Bulgaria, if you compare with other European Union countries, is more vulnerable towards all you described, or it's just, you think, an example among others, so that the situation is not good, maybe it will worsen, we don't know, but whatever, it's not a specificity of Bulgaria? Or do you think that Bulgaria has a sort of specificity, and that it's sort of something which can swing in Bulgaria if you compare with other countries in European Union?
Well, Bulgaria is definitely very vulnerable, especially to Russian propaganda, also because of what is in our textbooks. They are not up to date and they are not making people know what is the real story. So we just came with our prejudices from a young age about the role of Russia in our political life. As you have seen, however, what happened in the UK during Brexit, evidently Europe is also under threat. So Russia is quite capable of making a campaign which works on a large scale.
Thanks a lot, Maya, for explaining again and for your point of views about our work, but about you and your future. How do you see your work and as a journalist here regarding to the what is now your preoccupation dealing with all this false information, disinformation campaign? How do you feel and what do you wish for the future as a journalist?
Well, I wish that I could work more on such topics as political propaganda and that our media has an interest in such topics. Because for now, our media, it's just a hobby for all of us. It's up to us if we want to do it or not, and how we do it, how we train ourselves for it.
I will join the congratulations for this continuous work, very important work, inspired by an email by a colleague from European University under a European project about Bulgarian conspiracy theories and narratives here, and if we have some examples of people who disengaged by conspiracy theory groups. For example, I wanted to ask you, since you started the work, and especially after the first broadcast and the promotion of the movie, The Architects of Chaos, if you have examples of someone who contacted you, or you just find some proof evidence of people outside of our bubble who disengage from some of these narratives, who share that they feel that their critical thinking improves. You know, we all have this purpose after all, not to speak to ourselves, but to go beyond and to start like dragging people closer. I mean, closing the gap in this polarized society we live into. Do you have such examples, or do you have some ideas how to achieve this?
Well, a lot of my friends have told me that they have shown the documentary to their parents and they changed their opinion about what is happening, which was actually the main goal. Apart from that, many people wrote to me that they didn't know many of the things I have shown in the documentary. I don't know if this is enough. But I believe that there should be civil education in our schools from an early age, just for people to be aware what they are against, and not this religion which is talked about recently.
And that was maybe my just last question is that what we observe is really worrisome and quite frightening, and the future is so. And yes, and the main challenge is how and in which way and which tools we can find to try to answer and to try maybe to maybe we cannot stop, but just to resist and not just to be the victims of all this machinery which transform completely which could transform our societies. And yeah, you answer already a little, but what would be your proposals to go further on this?
Mhm. Well, we should work on building more trust between the public and the society and the state, because without it, the truth is something no one will care about. And when this happens, people became quite inhumane, and this brings a lot more problems to society. So this is Hannah Arendt has worked on, so I'm citing her. It's sure. But I think this is the right way. And we have the exact same problem people have during the Second World War. Just to keep our humanity in place and think.
Okay, I will share my thoughts from this evening. 1 year ago, we was here in that hall, and when Alfred Fosco presented his book, the name of the book is I did what I could. Yeah, and when we show CEO last work for AI propaganda, we laughing a little bit in the hall because we have critical thinking and we understand clear. For us, it's very clear when we live and go in Facebook what's happened. And reality is that we are in war for reality. And about that, thanks of all of you and all of the people who does what they can and what we can do. We have enact European Shield for Democracy now in European Union. And we also propose like a platform for European memory and conscience that and the question indeed was how it's cheaper or how to fight. We need to split a little bit percentage of the budget for our defense in Europe to have a structure and to fight with that propaganda, with that war for the reality, not only for the guns. And we really, really need to do something because every day, every minute, we saw how it's strong against our values and live here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so last question, and then we'll be happy to have a continued discussion around drink if you want to.
Thank you for the very interesting topic and the very interesting approach to it. Maybe to finalize also a question, we see in a very obvious way the problem and we are living in this problem. Just a question coming to myself. In your work, do you work with or have you identified organizations, I suppose not at political or governmental level, but more civil society, NGOs or individual initiatives that are trying even on a small scale to do something against this problem and to deal with it, and in order to raise awareness among people that we saw in your documentary and to change these opinions?
Yes, there are such enthusiasts on Facebook in Bulgaria. For example, BG Elves is such a non-governmental, it's not actually an organization, but a gathering of people who work on such topics. Also, these meme pages like Putin and Kopeikin, they also show us what kind of disinformation, pro-Russian especially, is out there. And there are profiles, I could cite them. It's Maggie Dimitrova, I think. It's not a real name, but it's a person who is working actively on showing us such campaigns. There are others, which is the good thing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much again, Maya. Thank you, everybody. And so if people want to join outside for a drink,